Hi, I'm Danielle Wickes, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can make the cutest set. It's an earrings and bracelet set, and I'm wearing the earrings now, and I'm excited about not only how cool they look and just how sparkly they are, but also how quick I can make them, which means I can make a bunch for gifts. And so that's the season we're in now, so that's where I'm jamming to. And there is also an accompanying bracelet design which is also relatively speedy when we're talking about seed beading. This is on the quick side, right? That uses really cool Tilas and Delicas. They're also the same Tila and Delicas that I used in the earring. And so in this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to create these beautiful, beautiful earrings and bracelet together. And you can use any colors that you would like. You can match them up or you can make them different. Lots of places you can take this design. So let's get started. Here is the earring design, and it is such a quick and easy make. This is the perfect holiday gift idea for someone who likes a nice, stylish, big hoop earring. And so very quickly, I'm just going to show you all the materials and then we'll dive into creating it. So you're going to need some seed beads, and I'm using some size 11 Delicas. I chose this new cranberry harvest mix because it looks so pretty next to these Maria Tilas. I believe the color on that is crystal. It's like a crystal Maria. And then you're going to need, for a pair you need 12, but for each earring you'll need 6 of the 4mm crystal bicones. My hoop is 25 millimeters, but that is a flexible, measure. It can still work on other hoops. It will just probably, either cover more or less of the hoop, but I did test this on a slightly larger and a slightly smaller hoop, and it pretty much worked. So, but this one here is 25 millimeter, and then here is the ear wire I'm going to just hook to the top. And so for thread, I am using Fireline beading thread, and I'm using a size 11 beading needle. All right, so let's get started. I have cut about 35 inches or so of beading thread. It doesn't really use that much, but I'm going to go ahead and leave myself enough tail that it'll be easy for me to do some weaving in. And just one thought to mention is, like with the tall Tila beads, weaving in is going to use a little more thread than usual. So I went ahead and gave myself a little extra. So 35 inches, and I'm going to use 7 inches or so as a tail and tie it to the hoop. Let's tie a double knot onto the hoop. And there it is. There's my double knot. Just make that as tight as you can. And then go ahead and bring those strands together, the tail and the working side, and just kind of pull it so the knot is sitting on the outside of your hoop. I've already got my needle threaded over here. I'm going to go ahead and string on one of my Tila beads. Now, if your Tilas have a front or a back that you have a preference for, on mine they did, and the one side is kind of opaque and one side is transparent with a reflective interior that I thought was very pretty as the front. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm going to focus now by picking up these in order so that that's the front. So slide that down, and as you get toward the hoop, just take a quick look at your tail, and I find it's pretty easy. Go ahead and just feed the tail through the same hole that your thread is through. There we go. And if you're using one of those thicker beading threads, it will be pretty easy to get that on there. And then just slide the Tila down to meet the hoop. So just like that. And holding everything in place, you can even, if you'd like, if you're having, a little bit of trouble getting it to be right next to the hoop, nice and tight, you can pull these two threads apart. See, like that. And it'll actually kind of settle the knot right into the Tila. It's kind of a cool feature. All right, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go through the second hole of the Tila bead. And then as you're doing that, just bring your needle behind the hoop. Go behind the top part of the hoop, and then let your needle fall through the center of the hoop. So just like that. And I kind of just pinch everything with my hand for just a second while I pull that thread down. And so what you'll have is the thread running through the Tila bead, going behind the hoop. Now I'm going to go ahead and go through that same hole in the opposite direction. And just bring the needle through it. And you'll notice my thread is passing behind the hoop, and now it's going to be going in front of it. So it's just going to brick stitch, anchor to the hoop just like that. So I've got my tail over here on this side, and I've got my working side here. So super, super easy. Now we've got a Tila anchored to our hoop, and we're going to need to pick up one of our bicones. So here's my 4mm bicone, and I'm going to grab another Tila bead. And it can kind of help, especially when you're first getting started, to just kind of place it where you want it. See, like that? I want this to be the front. So I've got my crystal, and now I'm going to go through the closest hole of that Tila, and I'm going to pass my needle behind the hoop, and then through the hoop. So you see it's going behind the hoop at the top here, but then over here, the needle's actually passing over it. And that's the trick to get everything to be where you want it thread-wise. And if you want to, you can always work on the mat and just kind of press it down into your mat. I'm going to do that for visibility to what I've got going on with how the thread pass is going through the bead. But it's also great just to hold it as well. But so basically what you're going for is you want the crystal to be on top of those two, just like in the middle like that. And so now I'm going to go back through the same hole in the Tila that I just went down. And I'm going to pass over the hoop and back through that hole in the Tila bead. And I'm just going to press down on the mat while I pull that thread through. All right. And now I can lift that up and show you a little easier so far what is happening with the design. And now I just need to lock in the other hole of my Tila. So you see how we've gone through just this one side. So now I'm going to go ahead and go down through this other hole, behind the hoop, through the hoop. And this time I'm going to hold it just so you can see it kind of the way I usually work it. And then back through that same hole, making sure to stay in front of the hoop this time. And so you see what's going to happen is that little loop now that's forming. Nice little anchor there. And that is how to work the first step of this design. So we're just going to repeat what we've already done. Let's do one together. So we pick up another crystal, another Tila bead, just checking for which hole I want to go through. So I want that to be my front. I'm going to bring my needle. I basically will just string it out, and if I'm working it with a fast hand, I'm just going to use kind of this position. So pushing it behind the hoop and then through the hoop. And then I just pinch everything here and pull. And sorry, my thread's hooking on my bead mat a little bit. Get that back into position there. There we go. And then back through that same hole in the Tila bead. And once you've got it like that, you can even just let go because it's all going to just get right where you want it. Pretty cool. And then just don't forget to finish the other side by going through the second hole in the Tila, behind the hoop, through the hoop. And there's that pinching motion again to keep everything tight. Right back up through the bead right here. All right, so now I've got 3. And in this design, you can of course change this up, like the number of counts is not required, but on this particular hoop, which again is a 25mm hoop, I felt like 6 crystals looked really good. And so that's what I'm going to go for here. I'm just going to go ahead and add 4 more just like this in the same exact process we've been using. So there's 5, and so nothing special needs to be done for the last one. You just, same process, we're just going to pick up our crystal and our Tila bead. I'm going to go behind the component, around and through the same hole that you were headed through when you strung it, but in the opposite direction. Just like that, and then finish the second side in the same exact way. So super quick. And that right there, it looks like a sun, doesn't it? It's like a golden sun. That's a beautiful gift right there. You could stop if you wanted to, but your thread's visible, not dramatically so. I mean, I feel like I could totally love this just as it is, but why not have extra if you've got beautiful Delicas next to you and go for it. So that's what I did. And I discovered the counts for this that looked the best. I played with it for a little bit, and I decided I liked to start with the 3 Delicas just to join this edge. But then in between each crystal now, we're going to string 4. This goes really fast. So we'll start with 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is a mix. I kind of just randomed the colors. I didn't try to select for any color specifically. Go through your crystal. And now 4, 2, 3, and 4. And with this next 4, go ahead and just go through the next crystal. So this is going to go super quick. 4 and 4. So keep doing that, and when you get over here, we're going to string 3 and go through the last one, and I'll bring the camera back for that part. All right, super quick. Now I've got just 3 now. We've been doing 4 between each crystal, but now I've got 3, and I'm going to go through the edgemost hole of this edge Tila. And as I go through it, I'm going to try to keep my needle behind the component. Just passing just behind it like that. And then push it through, and as I do so, I'm coming through the center. So passing over the bar on the other side and pull that down. So you get this little, nice little, it looks like a corner to me. Like it's forming a little corner. Come back up through that same Tila bead, same hole. And try not to pass through the Delica itself. It's got a little trouble getting it to do that, but just like that. Push through. All right, so now you've got these 2. You got the tail and you've got the working side. If you feel like doing a knot, you can. I found like I really didn't need to. I wove them both in. So here's how to weave them in. What you'll want to do is go through the Delicas again and the next crystal. And this is the path I'm going to take with this particular strand. I'll show you how you can weave in both of these strands without having to go in the same holes of the same Tila beads. So there's a little trick to it. You go through a few more of these Delicas and through the next crystal. I get myself over to like the 3rd one. And then from the crystal, exiting from that, go through the Tila bead. And again, if you can, try to get your needle to go behind the component. Mine looks like it's doing that. It didn't quite make it above, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. And then I'll just bring my needle up through the center since it didn't pass above it on the way down. And we'll go back through the same hole we were just coming down through. I'm just going to very gently try to get through it without puncturing thread. There we go. All right. And so that is how you weave in. From here, you can either just go down to the next Tila, which is what I'm going to do here, through the component, around, back through the Tila. So in the case of this strand, that's 3 brick stitch trips. And when I say a brick stitch trip, you're going around the component and back through the bead. So that's the 3rd time I did that. I feel like this one would be totally okay to trim now. I'm going to do the same thing with the tail thread, but I'm going to do it in the first 2 Tilas, so I'm not doubling up in spots, and then we'll pop the ear wire on, and there it is. Gift is done so quick. And now for the fun part, is finishing the set. And on this ear wire, I'm just going to open the little hoop on the bottom. I'm just going to go ahead and pop the hoop onto it and close it. If you wanted to, you could do like a wrapped gemstone before you go on to the ear wire. I mean, there's so many things. So many cute things you could do to personalize it. Oops. There we go. I just want to make sure that was tight. All right, there it is. That looks good. Just getting the other one. What a beautiful little style. These are the kind of things that people really love to wear. So like something this easy and quick to make, this could just get your whole gift list just checked right there. So I think it is a really cool and lightweight, might I add, style that you can wear on your ears and make a bunch of colors. I think in addition to this beautiful mix that I used, there's a bunch of others. You could go with any color you want and any color Tila, of course, and different metals. So sky's the limit. So let's make a matching bracelet. So here is a beautiful bracelet design. This is another quick and fast, gorgeous make. That is so easy. And I used the same exact beads that I used in my earring design to create this. And it's going to be so gorgeous to wear together. So if you want to do a set for somebody, this is a really nice and fast way to create a beautiful set. So I'm going to show you how to create this, and then we're going to put some findings on this one together. So let's go ahead, and I was thinking maybe I would also just experiment with a different color of Delicas, because I have a few mixes with me and I want to see what they look like color-wise. So let's play, and I'll show you starting this with a different color. Let me see what I have. So start a new strand of fireline beading thread. Again, I'm still using the same needle. It's a size 11. As far as like how much thread to cut, I don't think you need to pre-plan that. Just cut a span that is comfortable for your arm, and we can add thread as we go. And I did that on this one. So I settled on using sparkling olive, the green forest color, just to make my second one. So we can just see something a little different as we go. And for getting started, leaving about a 10-inch tail and cutting about a wingspan of thread. You can always add thread later if you need to. Go ahead and string your Tilas as I have them configured right here. So you see how I've got one with its, there's two holes here, and the one on the right side is here, and the one on the left is here. And I'm just going to string it like this. So I'm going to go through this one. And through the side. And again, this is only because I have a front and a back that I'm focusing on. But you do want to get them like this. So you've got them offset like that. So it just works a little better for getting started. And again, about a 10-inch tail. And now you're going to want to string 4 of your seed beads. And from here, go down through the first hole and the other one. So to show you one more time, we're exiting from right here. And I'm going to string 4, and I'm going to jump down and go through that side. And so it's, depending on how you flip it, it's either the left or right, but mostly you just want to go through the one where your tail's coming out. That's one way to see it. And things are going to wiggle a little bit on this first pass, so don't worry too much about that. Just have to help it a little bit. But basically what you're going for is that. Let me make it flat so you can really see it. I'm going to push these out of the way just a little bit. There we go. So you see we've got 4 seed beads running the side, and both are working in tail threads now, are coming out of this base. I'm going to go up through the second hole of this Tila bead. So just like that. And don't worry if it flips a little bit. It's all going to get a lot easier here in just a second. Pick up 4 more of your Delicas. And I'm just going random again with my colors. 4 there. And from here, see we're exiting out of that second hole on the Tila here. We're just going to go through the first 4 of those Delicas. And they'll probably not sit side by side exactly. They're probably going to do something like that. So on this first one, what I'd like to do is go back through the first 4. Just kind of turn my needle and holding onto it as best I can. Just going to get through those first 4. And through the 2, 3 and 4. There we go. All right. And it looks like my thread's just hugging the bottom of that Tila. Let me just help it really quick. All right. And so, again, things are still flipping a little bit, but generally what I'm going for is that. See? So I got it working now. And now I just need to get to the next position to start the new one, the next addition here. So I'm exiting from the 4 here on this side. Go ahead and go back through those first 4, or sorry, the second ones you added, the second set, and continue all the way down through. So just like that. So through the Tila and everything. And now pick up 4 more Delicas. And now what you want to do is head up through the other Tila right here. And that will be the first hole. There you go. It's looking really pretty with olive. And then you want to turn and go through the second hole of the Tila bead. So through the second hole. And now I'm going to pick up 4 more. With these 4, I'm going to go through the former 4 here. See how we got that to go through that? Pull there. And then head up through those 4 again. And that's just to make sure they pop side by side like that. So now from here on out, it's going to get super, super easy. If you want to, from here, you can take your tail thread and you can feed your tail thread through all of these beads. You may need a needle on it, you might not. I probably do. But on the starting sides, you're going to have your thread exiting from the edge of those Delicas. So somewhere towards the end here, I'll just move this tail thread right down through those. So let's keep going. From here, we're going to need to pick up another Tila bead. And if you are working with a front back preference, just go ahead and choose it by laying it like that, so you know which way to go. String it through the side that works and go through the other Tila. Just like that. And it'll sit just like this. Pick up 4 Delica beads and go through that last hole on the Tila we just added. So see, you get something just like this. Come up through the second hole in that Tila. I'm going to string 4 more of our little Delica seed beads and go down through the last 4. Pull that through. And then let's go up through the 4 here. And again, that motion makes it pop like this. So you get the beads sitting, these stacks of 4 sitting side by side really sharply. And so that's why to go back through. Because you could go through all the way through the Tila if you wanted, but I found that made it really pop more, so that's what I've been doing. That said, it would still work if you went through all the way through the Tila again. You could. I'm going to pick up a new one. I'm going to go through the Tila bead. And you saw I was just aligning it to make sure I had the side forward facing that I wanted. So I've got it just like that. Here's the 4 Delicas. And back through that same hole in the Tila bead, just head in that opposite direction. Now I'm switching to the second hole on the Tila bead. And I'm going to string 4 more Delica. And I'm going to go back through these 4 Delicas. And here's where I was saying before, if you wanted, you could keep going through the Tila and make a turn through the Tila. That's totally fine to do. What you'll notice though is that the 2 stacks of 4 Delicas, they will sit like kind of with a little more space in between them here. They'll align themselves to the Delica holes, or sorry, the Tila holes, which are a little wider than the 2 stacks of Delica. So that is a preference. And I chose to go and do the more popping look, but it actually looks great both ways. So I think you can try and see what you like the most. And definitely shorter hand to do it the way going all the way through the Tila. I just kind of thought, you know what, this looks great. I'm going to keep doing it this way. All right, and so just carry on like that until you have a length that you would like. And let's put on some findings. I think this is going to be so pretty when it's done. Really, really loving both of these colorways. But to show you finishing, I'm going to go ahead and get out the other color that I had, which was the cranberry, and we're going to put on just a regular lobster claw and chain. All right, so for starters, I've got a lobster claw with just a jump ring on it, and I'm going to go ahead and put a needle onto my tail thread. Got a little bit of Delicas here, and I've got this ready. I'm going to do a super easy just link to the closure. I'm going to go ahead and just string about 8 of these. I'm going to go through my clasp, the jump ring on it, and then I'm going to loop around and head back through all those beads. I think this is the quickest, easier way. There's probably more than one way to do it, but I feel like that is totally fine and great and easy and quick because we're going to be making lots of these. Also the most versatile because any clasp you want to use, you can go ahead and use it, and this also would work with a button. I'm just going back through all of it as we chat just so I can reinforce. You want to reinforce it at least 3 times. I think I'm going to reinforce it maybe even like 4 times just to make sure it's nice and strong. And with Delicas, I'll have no problem. Delica and Tila, I'll get through those with multiple passes, no problem. So that's how I'm going to finish it. And I was going to say for a button, to do the button loop, all you have to do is just make this a little bit wider. Make the loop big enough to go over your button on one side and attach your button shank, or I think it'd be easier with a shank button, just the same way I'm doing this jump ring right here. So that's one thought, and I think there's probably some other more involved ways that would maybe center it, but you could even build it out of the center here. We can definitely, if there's interest, play with that maybe in a future video, but I feel like we're just making gifts right now and we're trying to get them done. So that's the way to do it. And it's going to be totally strong and really nice. I'll repeat that on this side. And I'm just going to put either a chain of jump rings, or I have this nice little chain here. I'm going to just go ahead and link it. I'm going to put a charm on the end. A little fire polish there. And I've got it. So here's how to weave in really quick. For weaving in, all I did is I just made a bunch of turns. So I just started going through beads. And of course, it's easier to get through all the way through all the Tila and Delicas together. But if you want to make some turns could be great. So like go through, and then here's one turn. And then here's another one. I'm going to try to get through all the Delicas here, all 4. And then maybe try to get through these 4. And back through. And look at the side of the Tila has 2 different, finish it sides, and I like this one a lot too. So you could wear it like that. That's really cool. I'm really digging this. I think it's so pretty. So super easy. I think this kind of stitch would also work with, we could even make it wider. So that's a future video. I could try to play with that and see. But I was quite smitten with how this came out. I'm going to go through a couple more beads and I'm just going to trim it. I just wanted to show this thread path because I think that will help with weaving in for a lot of folks. But some flush cutters, and then just push down and pull up, and you can trim it just like that too. There it is. I'm going to put the other side on and then we'll try it on. There it is. What a stunning gift this would be. Look how cute this is. Reversible even, you could say. It's just really cool. So here's our bracelet all finished up. And I went ahead and put a chain on one side. And there's my lobster claw on the other. I feel like it's beautiful on both sides. I don't know which side I think is my favorite, but we'll start with the one I thought was my favorite first. And there it is, a better view in the garden here. That is so cool. So I hope you've enjoyed making this beautiful design.